All right, get ready for this one because today we are going deep on Taylor Swift.
Deep where?
Like deep, deep.
All right, I'm here for it.
Not just like, oh, she's got a new album out, Taylor Swift deep.
Right.
We're talking like, why is she the biggest thing on the planet right now? And like, what can we all learn from her?
And I think that's what makes this so fascinating.
Yeah,
It's not just about her music.
right.
We're going to look at how she's impacting, like, global economics even, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly.
But the Taylor Swift effect is real.
It's a real thing. Okay, so
Yeah.
we've got a bunch of sources we're diving into.
Okay.
But the two big ones, there's this listicle called All the Biggest Records Set and Broken by Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
Which is just like, honestly, it's kind of overwhelming just how much she's done.
It's a...
And then her Wikipedia page, because of course,
Yeah.
you can't talk about Taylor Swift without going to Wikipedia.
It's like the Swift Encyclopedia.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
So our mission, should we choose to accept it,
Peace.
is to figure out like, what is it about Taylor Swift? Why is she such a force?
Yeah, and I think the key here is, like you said, she's not just a flash in the pan, right?
Right.
This is sustained. Like, she's been at the top of an industry that is known for being fickle, like constantly changing.
For a long time.
It's almost unheard of, and like you said, the list of accolades is insane.
Okay, so I was looking at this listicle, right? And it's like, most streamed artist on Spotify,
Obviously.
4-time Album of the Year Grammy winner, which, by the way,
Only person ever.
only person to ever do that, ever. And then the Eras Tour, which everyone and their mother has been talking about,
It is capable
is officially the highest grossing concert tour of all time.
of all time.
Oh.
Like, EVR. It's crazy.
And that's what's important, right? These aren't just like quick wins.
Right.
It's not a viral moment. It's a career, a whole trajectory that most artists can only like dream of.
Especially for someone who released her first album at 16.
16. Can you imagine?
Okay, see, and this is where I think we need to go back a little bit, like, to understand the Taylor Swift effect.
Back to the beginning.
Yeah, like, to her country roots, right?
Right.
Because she wasn't always a global pop star.
Right. She starts out as this like relatable country darling.
And everyone's like, oh, she's so sweet. She writes these songs about her diary.
Yeah, and they're catchy. Super catchy, but also like she's really talented, even back then.
No, totally. And her Wikipedia page really goes into, like, how she got from there to here.
Okay, but before we go full Swiftie history lesson on everyone,
Please.
I have to point out this thing that I read that just like every time I think about it, it blows my mind.
Okay, hit me with it.
She wrote her first #1 country hit when she was 17 years old.
17.
17.
Oh, my God.
She's the youngest person to ever single-handedly write and sing a #1 country song. Like, it's in the records. Her Wikipedia literally calls it out.
Wow. That's some, like, next level talent.
Right.
there.
So, like, that always makes me think about years later, her decision to re-record all those masters.
Oh, absolutely. That is huge.
Because it's like she understood the power of owning her work from such a young age.
Yeah, like that kind of foresight, that determination as a teenager.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
So, yeah, we talk about her being a savvy businesswoman now, but it's like she's kind of always had that in her.
Exactly. And that, I think, is what sets her apart, that self-awareness, that drive.
Okay, so to understand the full Taylor Swift effect,
Let's get into it.
we got to start at the beginning with country darling Taylor Rate.
Okay, so picture this, right?
Okay.
She bursts onto the scene, super young.
With like a curly blonde wig.
Yes. And she's singing about heartbreak and all the things that, like, teenagers are going through.
Which, let's be honest, is like everyone can relate to that.
Exactly. It's universally relatable content. And then, boom, she transitions to pop.
And not just like a little bit of pop.
Right.
It's like full on 1989 pop princess Taylor Swift.
And the world is shook. But, like, for her, it's clearly a strategic move.
Oh, absolutely. This is where you really see her understanding of the music industry and like the world come in.
Totally. And you got to remember, this is the 2010s. Like, globalization is huge, and pop music is becoming even more global.
Right. And she just like rides that wave
That's-
perfectly.
She's like, I'm going to ride this wave all the way to the top. And she does.
And then just when you think she's peaked, she's like, hold my beer.
Hold my guitar, you mean.
Hold my guitar. And she re-records all those first albums.
Iconic.
It wasn't just about the music, it was about sending a message to the whole industry.
And it worked, right?
Oh, yeah.
People were talking about artists' rights, ownership, like, it sparked a whole movement.
Which is insane to think about, that a decision that was rooted in something that happened when she was 17 would end up changing the music industry years later.
It really shows you the power of, like, staying true to your vision and knowing your worth.
And I think that's something we can all learn from her, right?
Oh, 100%.
But okay, let's talk about the Taylor Swift effect, because this is where things get really wild.
Oh, yeah. This is where it goes beyond just the music.
Way beyond. So remember that listicle I was talking about?
Yeah.
It mentions how her Chicago shows for the Eras Tour, like, broke records for hotel revenue.
No way.
Yeah. Like, the city had never seen that much hotel revenue, ever.
Just from her concerts. That's insane.
Just from her concerts.
Wow.
And get this, they were predicting that her LA shows alone would bring in over $320 million to the local economy.
That's a whole GDP of some countries.
I know, right? It's crazy.
That's the celebrity economy in action right there.
Explain that, because I feel like a lot of people, they hear that term, but they don't really get it.
Yeah, so it's not just about like how much money is Taylor Swift making from ticket sales.
Right.
It's about the ripple effect.
Okay.
People are booking flights, hotels, they're eating at restaurants, they're buying merch, all because of her concerts.
Oh, I see. So it's like this whole ecosystem that pops up around these events.
Exactly. And it's global.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we even have Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, like personally asking her to add more Canadian dates to the tour.
He knows what's up.
Right, because of the potential economic boost. I mean, if that's not influence, I don't know what is.
It shows you the power of a global fandom.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of global reach, what about that whole Singapore thing?
Oh, with the Eras Tour.
Yeah, like they had that exclusivity deal, right?
Yeah, Singapore was like the only Southeast Asian stop on the entire tour.
Which I remember there was some backlash from fans in other countries.
Oh, for sure.
But for Singapore, it was a really smart move. Like, it put them on the map.
Oh, totally. It's like a case study in how artists can leverage their global brand.
The listicle was saying it gave a huge boost to tourism.
Yeah, and it reinforces their image as like a major entertainment hub.
Which is super valuable.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, one last example, because this one just, I don't even know. It blew my mind.
Okay, let's hear it.
So we know she's dating Travis Kelce now, right?
The football player, yeah.
Yeah. And so she's been going to his games, like supporting him, which, cute, whatever. But the article was saying that her appearances, just her being there, actually boosted international viewership of the Super Bowl.
Get out.
I know. Like, people were tuning in just to see if she was going to be there.
Wow, that is wild. Like, she's not even performing?
Nope. Just a girlfriend in the stands.
That's the Taylor Swift effect, man.
Right. It's like her reach is just, it's insane.
It goes way beyond music at this point.
Oh, okay, but here's the thing I find really interesting, because we've been talking about all these huge achievements, right?
Yeah, record-breaking stuff.
But then you look at other parts of her life, and there are these little details that you wouldn't expect that I think add a really interesting layer to the story.
Like what?
Okay, so, for example, did you know that she grew up on a Christmas tree farm?
No. Really?
Yeah?
That's not very pop star of her.
Yeah, right. In Pennsylvania. Christmas tree farm.
Huh. You never would have guessed.
It makes you wonder, like, how did that environment growing up like that shape her worldview?
That's a good question. Like,
Yeah.
how does someone go from Christmas tree farms to stadiums? It's a hell of a journey.
I know. And speaking of her early years, she actually got rejected by, like, a bunch of Nashville record labels when she first tried to break into country music.
Really?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, she had those setbacks too.
Right. Everyone thinks it was just like instant success.
Exactly. But her Wikipedia page mentions that by the time she was 12, she was already learning guitar, writing her own songs.
Driven from a young age, clearly.
Oh yeah. She was determined, like, if those Nashville labels weren't gonna sign her, she was gonna do it her own way.
And that's the thing about her. She never gave up. She just kept pushing forward.
And it makes you wonder, like, if she hadn't faced those rejections early on, would she be the Taylor Swift we know today?
Right. Would she have that same drive?
It's an interesting thing to think about. It's crazy to think, like, she was dealing with all that so young.
Seriously, like, talk about starting at the bottom.
Right, like, it really wasn't all glamorous from the start.
No, not at all.
Makes you wonder, like, what's next for her, though?
Right. Like, where do you even go from highest grossing tour of all time?
Yeah, and especially for someone who seems to, like, reinvent herself every couple of years.
Constantly evolving.
Totally. But her Wikipedia page actually mentions something interesting.
You okay?
It says, like, her musical role models are Paul McCartney, Bruce Springsteen. Oh, yeah, and Emmylou Harris and Chris Christopherson.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we've got, like, country legends in there, too.
I know, it's like a whole mix, but they all have something in common. They've all had these super long careers.
Yeah.
And they've all, like, changed their sound over the years.
Reinvented themselves, but, like, stayed true to themselves at the same time.
Exactly. And knowing how much Taylor admires that, it makes you wonder.
What's next for Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Chapter, like, 25.
Right. Will she put out a rock album?
Ooh, imagine.
I know. Or, like, get even more into directing her own music videos?
Or, like, make a whole movie.
Oh my God, yes. She could do anything.
But, like, bigger than even that, I'm curious about her legacy, you know?
That's a big one.
Because we've talked about all these achievements.
And the records and the economic impact and, yeah, all of it. But, like, what will people remember her for in, like, 50 years?
That's the question, isn't it?
It's like she's already done so much to inspire other artists.
Oh, absolutely. Like, she showed everyone that you can actually own your work.
Right. And that you can have a real, genuine connection with your fans.
And, like, that's powerful.
Super powerful.
I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like it, to be honest.
I know, and honestly, I don't think we're ever going to see anything like it again.
She's one of a kind, that's for sure.
Totally. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today.
Wow, time flies when you're talking Taylor.
Right. There's just so much to unpack.
Always something new with her.
But we've hit all the good stuff. From those record-breaking stats to her childhood on a Christmas tree farm.
Never would have guessed that one.
I know. Anyway, one thing is clear. Taylor Swift's story is far from over.
Can't wait to see what she does next.
Me neither. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time for more deep dives into the stuff that's got us talking.